Welcome back to the Glory Boys podcast, where we're here to help you think bigger. I'm one of your hosts, Austin.
I'm Darren.
I'm Trev. Today we are talking about GV turning 6
go.
years old and how we scaled to that point and where we're going next.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Glory Visuals. Happy birthday to you. You're trying to find the harmony there, Darren?
Yeah, I was having a hard time.
Yeah.
That's surprising. You're usually really good at finding harmonies.
I think we started really low.
Yeah.
And even the harmony was still kind of low. And then the reverberation between your two like low voice. It was just
right. I was going to provide nothing but melody there. That's as far as the musical talent goes.
Dang. Well,
oh, that was fun.
We'll try it next time.
So we're
next
6.
year. We're 6 years old.
We're 6 years old, yeah.
Dude, that's insane. Companies don't last that long sometimes.
Well, you know what they say. First 5 years usually will determine, what is it, like 80% of companies will fail in the first
like
5
that.
years or
yeah,
something like
someone
that.
said that. If you Google it, you probably find that stat.
I found that stat somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
6
pretty cool.
years.
Pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
Go ahead.
I remember just the days grinding in the basement, getting logos designed and Wix websites built out, and walking into places and doing free videos just to try to build a portfolio.
Paying $25 for our logo on Fiverr.
That's right.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, and we used it for 4 years.
Yeah, like 4.5 years.
And then we paid like $150 for another logo on Fiverr.
On Fiverr?
Sick. I love it.
Dude, do people just be hating Fiverr, like users, like creatives? Like, dude, there's just a lot of really talented people on Fiverr.
There is,
like
actually.
Maybe back in the day when you actually paid $5 for like a logo, it was pretty trash, but I'm sure that helped a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it helped us. We were broke and we had, we needed like a good, like obviously, like we could have figured it out like graphic design wise, but like I didn't want to like have to sit there and like decide which one. I just wanted to give some ideas and then have options to pick from. I just worked better that way. And it
worked out.
It's a quick and convenient solution.
Yeah.
That's right. Fiverr's awesome.
But before we get into being 6 years old and where we started, this all looks new.
Yeah.
What's that?
We're in a completely new space.
Yeah, dude. This spot, it's a whole vibe.
Hold on. If you're watching, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, just do us a favor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unless you're driving, maybe still do us a favor.
Pull over.
Hop on YouTube.
Yeah.
Go to this podcast on YouTube because this podcast is worth watching on video.
Mm-hmm.
We've built out this space over the past 6 months. As you probably know, if you've been following along, we haven't posted a podcast episode in quite some time.
It's been a minute.
I think October of last year. I was looking,
so just about almost 6 months. Probably about 6 months.
Wow.
Which is, we're sorry, but we have a really good reason.
Yeah.
And this is a big part of it.
So much time.
We'll get into that. But yeah, the inspiration in this room here is really just, we wanted to create a space because the last place that we were in, it was very plain, just all black. And we actually intended that for rental purposes. So we didn't want to brand it Glory Boys. We didn't want to, put anything up that would, make it look like our podcast so people could bump in and record. And we actually had a ton of people do that. But it just was kind of boring and flat. And we moved into a new space, which we'll get into a little bit later. But we moved into this room and it was just a blank canvas. And I was like,
we'll have to post. We'll have to show them a photo or something of what it was when we got here.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So we came in here and I just literally just saw so much potential and I became like a 6th grader again. And when I was younger, I had all of my walls covered just from like even the ceiling. I remember like I'd come home after school and part of the ceiling would be falling down and I just have to get some Scotch tape and like retape it back up.
Like
but
a corner flow.
Every square inch was covered with like posters, music, skateboarding posters, like Nintendo and all kinds of stuff. But when we came in here, I was like, we need to make this like fully our space. Just like make it ours. And so we got to talking and Trev had a bunch of sick like sports memorabilia from the 90s from your
bunch
dad.
Of stuff. Yeah.
Your dad like was a huge collector, had so many cool things, and you're like, I got some like tubs of like vintage stuff,
right?
And I'm like, bro, you should bring them in.
Yeah,
like we should check them out. And then I had a few things lying around, and I collect Nintendo, and like, you know, we had some like trading cards and sports cards and stuff like that, and and thrifting, and here we are.
And then I had all of. Oh wait, I didn't have any.
Yeah, Austin didn't really have anything, so I had to like purchase a few things that he liked. So it didn't look like just me and Trev's. Like,
but I mean, I like the Nintendo stuff. You know, that relates, and I'm from Nebraska, so the Husker stuff relates. I've never really been much of a collector of things. So,
but hey, all my stuff was from my dad again. So like, I just kind of happened into it, which I love sports and all that stuff. So my mom was just like, I need this out of my house. So it was really perfect timing. Yeah, actually.
My one request or gift from Darren was up here on the wall next to the sign, the Jasmine Dragon Tea House, Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
So great.
Yeah.
And then where's the Pwn Noobs?
He's a G.
Where's that at?
Oh, Noob Slayer's over here.
Noob Slayer. I don't think you can see it in any of the angles, but there's like a little Noob Slayer sign over there because I slay noobs.
Noobs,
he's a resident gamer. We got that, and I was me and Trevor like, we are the noobs to be slayed.
Yeah, it's true.
It's all good though. I know my place.
We moved in November, so just to give you guys a little bit of update on why we have a new space. Our old studio, our old office space was amazing. We were in there for a couple years. Building was getting sold. We'd put in an offer on the building. They wanted like way more than we had thought it was worth. So we didn't do that, thankfully. But they did end up selling it late last year. So that was like November, December. So we had to find a new space. And we have a friend that we go to church with who had built out this amazing office space and really wasn't using most of it. The whole lower level, he kind of had his office space upstairs, but it was really just sitting vacant on the lower level. And so he had joked about it before with us. So we knew the space was open. Well, then as the building got closer to being sold, we thought, okay, maybe this is an actual realistic, potential place for our next move and to have an office space. And so came in here in November, and it's been such a huge blessing. I mean, we've got more office space. We had a much bigger room to put this podcast studio and build it out the way that we wanted to. It's got, it's just been amazing to be here since November.
Yeah, Austin and I were kind of like in frantic figure out a place to move mode because, you can't we didn't want to go back into moving or working from home. I cannot do that. I need to leave my physical home and go to work, whether that would be a basement or a garage or whatever that may be. But I had to, we weren't going to go backwards. And so we looked at like 5 spaces maybe, and they were all super expensive, and they were all pretty small, pretty old, and just nothing was working. And not that we were being overly picky, but we just really wanted something that was going to be, push us in the right direction. And so we moved into this space, and it was really neat because our friend Justin and his wife were praying for somebody to be kind of occupy this space that when he's gone out of town or on work, that someone that they can trust and that will take care of the place is actually here using it. And it was just like a massive God thing, and we moved in, and it's been such a great relationship, and super, super blessed to be here, like Austin said.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been a process.
So I remember you guys do a good job at like masking your, like your
panic.
Your panic, I guess. I don't know. And not that like we want you to suppress that, but I just like from my point of view, I knew it was like, okay, obviously we're going to need a space to go, like, but it never felt like a panic from like my end of things, or, I can't speak for Bray, but.
Do you remember the times when we would like go into the pod studio and shut the door and lock it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'd be sitting head between our legs, just
fetal position.
We're fine. Everything's fine. And then we come outside of the podcast studio and we're like, hey guys, you guys ready to go on a shoot? So that's what we were doing in there.
Got it. Yeah. No, but I think that's the skill that you guys have is not letting kind of the circumstances dictate like how you're acting or how you treat the team or your attitudes and stuff like that. So, that was awesome. And look how it turned out. God provided.
Yeah.
Like
I think
he always does.
Yeah, that's the key is like, even though it was stressful at times and we were wondering what was next, wondering what the right move was. Like, we just trusted through that process that God would provide. And he literally provided way better than what we were trying to figure out on our own. And so we've learned that over the last couple years, specifically the last year and a half, 2 years, that just trying to not strive in our own strength, but just trusting in God to provide, and he always does.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's a great segue for the main topic that we're going to talk about today, which is GV being 6, like we touched on, which is a huge accomplishment, because I don't know the numbers and the stats, but I know a lot of businesses will never see year 6. And so that's super sick. But maybe we just kick it off with, how did this thing start? Not so much, I mean, we've told the story of how you guys met and stuff, which you can touch on a little bit. But mainly, I think what's valuable this time around is, what have we done to grow? Like, what did it look like at the start? What types of jobs are we scrapping for? And what did that growth process kind of look like? You know, I think there's a lot of people that are like, well, even speaking from my own experience, you know, I was working for Huddle and then wanting to do video, and it's like, there's not really like a how-to out there to, like, you know, I got a camera. Okay. How do I get a client?
Yeah.
How do I know, like, I know I want to do this. How could I scale it to actually be able to do that? And I think I stepped into uncharted territories for myself with your guys' help, though, which is, I think, really awesome, and something that will keep adding value to our listeners, because I lived that. So yeah, let me on behalf of listeners ask you two, what did the starting phases look like? What were finding jobs like? And then how did you start that growth process?
Yeah, well, praise God, we've grown every single year in the past 6 years. And I think to summarize that into a short amount of time, because obviously there's a lot of story to be told over 6 years, but when we started, we did a lot of free projects. We built our portfolio really well. And I think that set us up to be able to prove to people what we were capable of, so that they would trust us with $500 at first, and then a couple $1,000 and $3,000. And then there was a point where we didn't want to take on projects less than $3,000. And then we figured out how to accurately, you know, structure our pricing, where it wasn't just this ambiguous number that we'd kind of look at each other and be like, oh, how much should we charge for this? 3,000? 3,000? Okay, sounds good.
Feels right.
This will be $3,000.
We did that so many times.
We're like, okay, well, yeah, a video is $3,000.
Like, he's like $2,000. I'm like, no, $12,000. I'm like, we're nowhere even close.
Right.
But yeah, figuring out how to, you know, structure our pricing and make it make sense to the client and be able to educate them. And I think for the first 5 years, I think this is a really timely conversation, because there's been a lot of change in this area over the past 6 months since our last episode, that we'll be talking about, I think, over the next few episodes. But for the first 5 years, we really built our business off of doing great work, which I think is the most important thing. Doing great work, serving your clients really well. But then I guess that turned into a lot of repeat, a lot of referral business. And I think the combination of doing free work to get paid clients, to get our name out there, to get a portfolio built up, and then doing really great work. And our tagline over the last year has become excellence delivered every time. And I think that is the key for us to be able to survive the first 5 years and to be able to grow every year, is that we had a passion to deliver excellence every single time, and to do the absolute best possible work, which led to being able to sustain a business for 5 years off of only referrals and only repeat business, which a lot of people would think is stupid. And maybe it was, and that's what we'll talk about.
Sure. One thing I'll say too is, even when we did the free projects, and I can't stress this enough, and I'll say this until the day I die, or this company folds and we're done, or we sell it for billions of dollars.
Billions.
But something that I really love that we did is, like, even when we rolled into like the random barbershop and did the free project, or we shot our first wedding for free, we did it like we were doing it for $1 million. We thought through every piece. Every bit of the edit, every song selection, how we colored it, everything that Glory Visuals put out as a project, whether it was this silly little barbershop wedding film, or, you know, something, a commercial that we were filming, or an event recap, like some of the lamest work quote unquote lamest work you can do is like an event.
Yeah, we filmed like motivational speakers in hotel conference rooms and like made them look so much more epic and awesome than they maybe actually were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just really important. What my point is we never took, just because it was a low paying or no paying project, we knew that everything that was going to get put out on social media that we were going to give to our clients had to literally just knock it out of the park. It had to either, we'd always joke like, if you don't cry, you know, you get your money back, or you don't feel the film, you know. We just wanted it to be that epic and wanted it to be that memorable, because who knows, they could have referred us, you know, years later. And a lot of times that did end up happening.
So let me ask you this. Was there a point that you were looking at like, okay, we're going to do X amount of free jobs before we start paying? Or was it like, we're going to do these jobs and then people started approaching you for paid jobs? Or like, what was that process like? Because I think that's also a question of like people trying to scale, you know, that in that instance would be scaling almost from nothing, you know, new to the industry. But what does that look like?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I think the trap a lot of people fall into is they take a lot of projects where people are offering them exposure, and you hear it all the time, and it sucks.
Yeah.
We chose a lot of the free projects that we did were ones that we actually approached them and said, hey, you have a cool business.
Yeah.
We think we could make you a really cool video that would build our portfolio. So if you're getting approached for some exposure opportunity, I would say think hard about it. If this is going to add something really awesome to your portfolio that you don't currently have, and if not, unless you're super passionate about the cause and you just want to do it because it's fun or you need practice, I would highly recommend not doing that. We chose to just be active in choosing the projects that we would do for free. Choosing ones that we thought were different from what we had in our portfolio, or just things that were cool that we wanted to add to our portfolio, or things that we were interested or passionate about filming. And so I think that's a big factor in, doing a lot of those free jobs. And I would say it was more of a natural process as we did some of those projects, then those led to paid projects. And over time, you know, our time that we could fill in the free projects went down as the number of paid projects that we were getting went up.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep, that's really good. I had a thought and then I lost the thought.
That's okay. I have another question. So kind of moving into the why, and you touched on a little bit with excellence, but why do you think we've been able to grow to where we are today? Like, what sets us apart from people like, okay, now we know how to do a video. It's pretty good. And it's kind of just cookie cutter, like same video, every project, no matter who, you know, reaches out to you or who you reach out to. What really is that difference? And we were talking about it yesterday, just on our own conversation, but some of that could be its own episode as far as the excellence and that stuff. But what really is like the difference in, okay, now I got someone to pay me to make a video, to like, now like I can't keep up with business, or now we've grown to hire employees and have a space and all this stuff. Like, where does that difference come in? And I think it starts, just to answer my own question, with, I love that our tagline now is excellence delivered every time. And it's not a tagline that we were like, oh, we want this to be true of us. It was a tagline like retrospectively, oh, this has always been true of us. Now we just know how to articulate it. That's what I love most about that. And I think that is the number one answer of why we've grown, why you've grown. And now I'm joining later, but it's that no matter what the project was or what you're being paid, it has to be excellent. It has a standard attached to it, and it's unshakable, and we won't settle for less. So I think that is kind of why we've been able to grow and what sets us apart. But the other key, I think, and Austin even said something, we're reviewing a video that we just did that we will touch on actually later in this episode, but we're watching this like final export, one of the final exports. And afterwards, I told him, I was like, you crushed those live shots. Like those were sick. And he said thanks. He accepted the compliment and immediately was like, I learned ...
Yeah.
And he told me what he learned.
Do differently next
exactly.
time. Yeah.
And I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, we don't just make videos and we're like, that's sick, and then stop. Like, at every point there's something to learn. And I think you guys are really, really good at that and really picking out, like, we're not going to be stagnant.
Yeah, I don't know how to teach that. We were talking about that the other day. It's like, why do we want to be really the best? I mean, like, why do we want to be excellent at our craft? And how, like, what fuels that continuation of wanting to learn and grow? I don't really know the answer, honestly. It's like in me. Like, it's this innate feeling of like everything that we do, I'm like so excited and proud of it. But then the second that final export's done, I'm like, I'm ready to do better next time.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know what that is, or like, how do you get that like in you? Like, I maybe it's just like how God made me, and
Sure.
and then like me and Austin together, like there isn't a better duo. Like the way that I'm wired and the way that he's wired, like it creates this like continuation of like iron sharpening iron, and like friction, but healthy friction. And like even like our edit yesterday, we were going through it. I had like passionately spent 3 full days
while I'm in Mexico, just
chilling,
on the beach, sipping espresso martinis on the beach, and Darrens
then I'm over
sitting
here
by the computer editing, and then I come in, I'm like,
first thing in the morning,
I'm gonna change all of this.
He's like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, no, it does. I thought through this for hours. Like, this is the reason why. But at the end of the day, like, he made it better, and then I came back and fixed a couple more pieces. And today, like, the export is finalized, and I love it. And I think it's going to be one of the best projects we've ever done. And it's like, you can't just always have, a business partner fall into your lap. Like, if that's something that you're desiring, like, surround yourself with really awesome people, get plugged into your local church, get plugged into other business networks where there are other people available to bump ideas, and it's not always going to work. A lot of people say don't go into business with your friends or your family, and that's like the whole like Tony Robbins saying. And so we go against the grain a lot with what we do, but I think again, at the beginning of my point was I don't really know how to teach that, but it's just something that we'll never ever let up on.
I think a point of it is who you surround yourself with too, because if there's other people like that in your life who have a standard or who will constantly learn something, once you surround yourself with those types of people, that bleeds off onto you, and you want to become that type of person. And I would say, like, to our listeners too, if you are feeling like, getting into something new, or like, how do I take what I'm doing now to the next level? I would say really ask yourself, first and foremost, are you willing to be a learner constantly? Like, learning something new about the craft, or it could be something huge, something small. But if your answer is, I don't really care to learn more or invest more in this, that's probably a fair sign that you're probably not going to scale, or you're not going to reach these other goals. And so maybe there's some reflection to be done there. But awesome. What were you gonna say?
I think the other part is staying inspired, which can be tough to do. And there's a lot of ways to be inspired unhealthily with just the age of social media, and it's really easy to compare to other people. But I think I've came to a pretty healthy place with that, where I'm able to see other people that are doing amazing things and other creatives that are so freaking talented. And I'm able to look at them and not be judging myself based off of that, and I suck because I'm not where they're at or whatever, which I've been in that place for a long time. But I feel like in the recent years, I've become pretty confident in who I am and the stage that we're at in the journey. And I know no matter how good our work gets, we haven't arrived. There's still somebody out there that's, doing more bigger projects or cooler things. And I'm okay with that, because I can still aspire and I can still draw inspiration from those people in a healthy way that makes me desire to keep growing. For sure. I think it can be a dangerous place where if you're the best in your area at what you do, or you're the best in the room, you're the smartest, most financially independent person in your circle, wealthy people will tell you that's not a good place to be.
Right.
You actually should be the poorest person in your circle because the other people around you are going to pull you up. And so I think, it's never been easier in today's age of social media to reach out to somebody, to start networking, connect with people that you think are doing great work, maybe that are just a step or two ahead of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really big piece of it. Is I don't do it as much anymore. I'm not like doom scrolling people's Instagrams anymore or things like that. But I am always searching for, keeping my eye out for people that inspire me or projects that inspire me.
Yeah.
And I think, just to touch real quickly on what sets us apart and the excellence factor, I think there's so many facets to that. And I think doing great work, excellence there, having a constant desire to learn, excellence there. Those are two big keys. I think the third part is just loving people really, really well. Your clients can feel that. And I think that's the reason that we've kept so many repeat clients over the years. Yeah. Even if at times they maybe knew somebody or had been connected with somebody who did work at our level, they didn't feel, or they felt served by us in a way that they hadn't felt by other companies, or the experience that they had with us. We just got a Google review from a past client that said, she literally, this was her wording. She said, I have hated working with creative contractors in the past.
Right.
And my experience with Glory Visuals was incredible.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of it, of like, obviously you have to do the good work. You can't do crappy work and have great customer service and expect people to stick with you forever.
Yep.
But if you can do great work and you have crappy customer service and don't love and serve people, you can expect the same thing. If they have a terrible experience with you, it doesn't matter how good the video is. They might not consider you next year. But if you can do both of those things really, really well, and then marry that with a constant desire to just get a little bit better every single day, you can't fail. I mean, this is an industry where your work is so easy to display because it's visual imagery.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not trying to sell a product that's really hard to convey its features and benefits through text or through, a picture.
Yep.
Your imagery, your social media page, your website literally is your showcase of your product. And so if you can do really great work and have testimonials of people that had a great experience working with you, it's game over.
Yeah, that's great. So how then, I guess not how, why then haven't we seen more growth? Why, because we have, in complete honesty, we have seen seasons of like plateauing, if you will, or whatever. And so, internally we keep our faith high. We know that the Lord provides for us, time and time again. But we still want to do our part in pushing this thing forward. And we do have goals and dreams. And so, to this point, I guess, what would you guys say is like, what are those goals? What's next for us? And maybe like, why haven't we reached it yet?
Yeah. So although we've grown year by year, which is honestly a miracle in itself at some point.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like that, but that's been awesome. But it's not like we've grown from like $100,000 company to 500 to 5 million.
Sure.
It's been a slow but steady growth, which I don't think is a bad thing. But obviously it's always better to have more and to be able to utilize more income and have more clients. Like, we're not at capacity at all by any means. But I think the part of the growth has been, we've always operated with just serving people really well. So that really served us really well, because we have now clients that we've been working with for 5 and 6 years. So you build those relationships and they're very strong. They're not going anywhere else. We work with a company right now that we've been with for almost probably 6 years, like as the entirety of our company probably. And they've gone through like 3 or 4 different marketing directors. And so very easily that new marketing director could have came in a couple years ago and they would have just pieced out and like looked, they may know someone else that does video or someone that's local, and they're based out of Denver. Like, they don't need us in Omaha, Nebraska. Like, there's tons of people in Denver, but they like, our impact lasted so, like, was so, like, our work and the I guess, relationship that we had with them was built so strongly that even a new person coming in and getting to know us, we were back on as their contractor or as their video people. And so then that happened again, and then like they had some turnover and whatever, but it just like we were just always the video team. And because of the fact that we had served them so well 5 years ago, we're working with them now today. And we just got off a call with them last week, and they're like, we love you guys so much. Every time your videos come in, it's like Christmas, and we all wait to watch them together.
Yeah, they literally said that.
They said that, and I was like, this is like, dude, that just gets me stoked. Like, because of our faithfulness with them in the beginning, maybe, you know, it wasn't the coolest shoot to do or the most exciting. They're just that impacted by working with us, and that's what I think has been so healthy. But to answer your question, I think for a long time, the relationship building and the just putting out great work, those will do a lot of work for you. Like that will be
totally
super, make you, you know, gain some success, but there is a cap to it. And so we never knew anything about marketing. Like it's funny, the word marketing and the things that you attribute to marketing, you know, social media or ads, and now Meta, and then Google AdWords. And, you know, there's such a world that like Austin and I just didn't care to learn because not because we didn't care, but it was like, we had so many other things. Like we're trying to figure out how to file our freaking taxes or trying to like properly onboard employees and properly pay things so we don't, you know, get in trouble or audit or just a million different things that you're like, we're not going to worry about Google AdWords or being that marketing guy that has to like figure all that back end stuff for your SEO. And it was overwhelming, and it's a whole separate world that we just didn't have time. We're trying to make our films awesome, and we're trying to make our clients happy. Like that was enough. Well, then you come along, and when we hired you just, you know, a year ago, we're like, you know, maybe we'll just put him behind a desk and he'll just edit. Like we didn't really know exactly what your role would be. But I think, sorry, this is a very long-winded answer, but the thing that we're now diving into and learning about is we're getting into what real marketing is, like email marketing and funnels and capturing, you know, information and being able to serve our clients through the marketing piece and sales piece. So we've never ever had it as a company. And so I don't know a lot about it. You guys have been like doing all this stuff, so you guys could probably elaborate, but I would just say the reason why we haven't grown to the place that we have is because we've built really great, strong relationships, but we haven't really gone after new clients in a way that I think we probably should be at the level of company that we are.
I just want to say this. I think this is just so awesome and reflective of the culture that we've tried to build here. You had approached us basically and said, hey, I really want to learn more about sales and marketing, and I think I could be a greater asset to this company in this role, maybe than editing, where you had done some of it. You weren't really in love with it. You weren't super passionate about it. And so I think, you know, little nugget there is like, if you're not super passionate about something, you're not going to take the time to learn to continue to be better at it.
That was my thing. That's like, I'm just not really willing to learn that much more on editing. Like for the team's sake, I would, but
it doesn't like fill you up. It doesn't give you that purpose. And I think it's just so awesome. I love the team that we have now. Bray, like embracing learning Resolve right when we decided to switch.
Embracing, like, she like forced us into
it. Exactly.
She goes, hey guys, I deleted Final Cut off of all of your laptops and I downloaded Resolve. That was called.
But I just love just the culture of continual improvement, of growth. And I just think, looking back, like that moment where you had approached us and said, hey, I want to help with this. You saw maybe a gap there. We had talked about it. We were in the process of paying off tens of thousands of dollars in debt, which we did, praise God. We're now debt free.
Glory to God. Let's go.
But there was a moment within that where we're like, if we don't learn to have a little bit more control over this ebb and flow nature of this business, if we don't take action rather than doing great work and doing all the things we're doing, but then just hoping new clients will come to us at whatever pace they're coming to us, we have to take a more active stance in this. And I think you recognize that we'd been talking about it, and you just really stepped up and said, hey, raise your hand. I want to be part in helping to move this company forward and use talents and abilities that maybe you'd studied marketing in college.
Yeah.
So you'd had, a little bit of a background.
Right.
But it's been cool to see you like learn and take the Google Ads, course on your own time and figure that out. And we've implemented so many things over the last few months, and that's really where I think will be a pivotal change in our company.
Yep.
We were doing great. We had a good thing. We made it through the first 5 years. We're an established company now. I think that's what the first 5 years really do, is like, now it's like we're just starting out, but we're established now. People know who we are. We have a reputation built. We have, 45 now 5-star reviews on Google, none of which were fake or elicited in any way, shape, or form. Like, they're real reviews from actual clients that we served well.
Yep.
I think now was just the perfect time. And even moving into this new building, it was like this reset of like, okay, here's a pivot. We're going to keep doing the things that we've done excellent in the past. We're going to keep doing them with excellence. We're not going to, be the company that as soon as we start growing and, take on more clients, that we start watering down our services and reduce the level of excellence. That's never going to not be a part of our company and our culture. But it was time to start focusing on the thing that was a big missing piece in our business, and that was the marketing.
Yeah.
And so that's been a fun, wild journey.
Yeah, truly.
We'll have to break that down in more detail, I think, on future episodes.
Yeah, we definitely will hit it on.
From an outsider looking in, we broke our website at one point. We
couldn't receive emails.
Couldn't receive any emails
or send emails.
Or send emails. So that's literally how we talk to our current clients and to our new clients.
Yeah.
And as, Trev and Austin are like figuring this out during the last, honestly, it's been like 6 weeks probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
It just was this like hilarious thing where like you're jumping on calls with like Google.
We're just like, we spend $500 in a month for an ad that we don't know if it's working or not because like none of the data's there. It's like, oh, cool.
So needless to say, and we're not going to get into all the details because honestly it is boring. Like a lot of it is
DNS settings and
see, you already lost me. But we are just super grateful for the season that we are in with how we're learning how to do it better and how to build a stronger foundation and how to continue to grow and make this thing, significantly larger. And we're just super hyped to have you on to help implement that and have your guys' nerdy marketing brains. Just it's awesome. I love it. I love seeing just the new level of care and how we're taking care of our clients and new clients even better. It's the best. I love it. So good job.
I've said it, I think, multiple times on a podcast, but if you're ever feeling stagnant or burnt out or whatever, just, you got to go learn something new.
That's it.
I can't tell you how many, I've told my wife, like, it's like every 5 minutes I either have wanted to like bash my face into a wall or I'm like so stoked about the potential of the new software we're using and the new marketing efforts that we're putting in. And it's like, it's so frustrating at times. And so discouraging at times, but then it's so fulfilling at times. And you have to go through that discouragement and that frustration when you learn something new. It's never going to come just like that, but there's just this level of just fulfillment that comes with that. And so I'm really excited for that journey. And I think just to touch on like future goals, all of that stuff, we've never really been ones to set like a monetary goal of we want to hit this number of dollars per year.
Right.
That's never really been a huge motivating factor for us. What I would say is the bigger motivating factor is, number one, like, we want to absolutely max out our capacity of this team, because when we do that, then we can look at what is next in terms of hires and adding services and doing different things. So maxing out, having enough clients that we're filling up 100% of our time with awesome client projects. But the biggest thing for me really is just like how big of an impact we can have, how big and abundant of lives can we provide for ourselves and for our employees and our team. And that for me is like, that's the first goal, is like, I want all of us to be able to live really awesome lives and to be able to provide well for our families and have an impact in our community, have an impact in our local church, have an impact on our listeners and the people that are following along in the journey, that are starting companies like ours, or, you know, are a couple years down the road and are wanting to know what the next steps are. Like, those are the types of things that fill me up. And so that's really my only goal. I don't have like, you know, we want to hit $1 million this year.
Right.
If we do that, that'd be awesome. That means we can all live bigger lives, and we can do some other things that we can't do right now. Invest in gear that we don't have right now and things like that. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest goal. It's just abundance in every area. Right. Not just financially, but relationships, spiritually, emotionally, living healthy lives.
Yeah. And can I just say too about kind of that learning culture around here? Like, we touched on you guys always doing well to learn something new, and you know, you're talking about me doing sales and marketing, and I think the the culture is what fosters the ability to do that. The ability for me to come to you guys and say, hey, like, I mean, I wasn't coming professing to be an expert. You guys know this. I was just like, hey, I'm interested in this and I think it could help us. So, you know, can I step into this state of complete learning and figure this out and help figure this out? And kind of we've done that as a team. As you scale, you know, you're Darren talking about, like, beforehand, you just didn't have, like, you knew marketing was a thing, but like, you didn't have capacity. There's a certain point, like, when you're scaling as a business owner, that you wear all the hats at first, but if you're scaling, you cannot wear every hat. Sure. You just can't. And so that's part of that. And so I think for me to be able to come in and you guys are willing to let me kind of explore this passion in this area that I know a little about, but really I need time to learn it and to try things and experiment. That is really awesome. And I think that's a nugget to take also, is the culture that you're fostering within your walls will either enable you to succeed or fail. And I think that's a big part of what makes us special too. And you mentioned, Bray, too, like, talk about a self-learner, a complete new editing software. Like, that blows me away because I can't figure out one editing software. but to just, I mean, on her own time, be in there. She's like simultaneously crushing a project, then learning something, then applying it to said project and crushing it. And our videos never once, like, took a dip. Not once would someone be able to say, like, oh, did you, like, change something, or did you do something? Like, if anything, they've gotten better and better and better. And so, again, that's just a testament to all being willing and bought into, like, we will never stop learning because it just makes us better. So
for sure.
Yeah, I think that is that's a huge point of our success and why we will continue to grow.
Yeah,
it's great.
Seems like a pretty good time to do encouragement time, huh?
Encouragement time.
Right, hit it. Our favorite segment.
Yeah. It didn't do the video part. That's
right,
okay.
Let's run that back.
One more time. Here we go. Ready, Bray? Hit it. Yeah. Let's go. Hit it, Darren.
Well, welcome to Encouragement Time.
Yeah.
This is a segment where we just pretty much encourage you to continue on the journey that you're on, no matter what place or part of the journey you're on, but you can keep going. This is a place where we just want to make you think bigger, think outside of the box, help you grow. And so something I was thinking about, and we're talking about excellence and the things that we do, and, you know, why are we the way we are? Well, here at Glory Visuals, we love Jesus with our whole heart, and we serve the local church, and we live a daily life surrendering our lives to Jesus for what he did on the cross for us. And so that's obviously a big part of why we're the way we are. And I just pulled up my Bible app open. It was cool, the daily verse for today. And this is for anyone. If you know Jesus or you do not know Jesus, he loves you regardless, but you can know him. You just have to make a decision in your heart that believe that he died on the cross, he rose from the grave, and now you can have relationship with him for all of eternity and go to heaven with him and all of his kids. But
Amen.
What the Bible says today is, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Do not cause anyone to stumble, whether Jews, Greeks, or the church of God, even as I try to please everyone in every way. For I am not seeking my own good, but the good of many, so that they may be saved.
Yeah.
So something that's really cool about that is obviously pretty much everything that our hands touch has the word glory in it. As we have like now, I think like 3 brands that with the word glory.
Yep.
And so we really care about that. And the reason we care about that is because we love to give glory to God in everything that we do, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a video for a client, whether it's making a t-shirt for a client. So my encouragement to you is do everything as you would be doing it unto the Lord. And what that means is, and again, if you don't know the Lord, we do everything with the utmost excellence. And so I think because of that, because God made us so intricate, so excellent, so passionate, so creative, if you just take a second and tap into that beauty, that excellence, I truly believe it will influence your work. It'll influence your ability to create and to think and to interact with people. And so you were made in the image of God. So that means you were made so creative, so amazing, so beautiful. And I just believe that just sit on that for a second and take that into your next project, take that into your next conversation, take that into your next idea, and watch God show up in a massive way in your life.
Yep.
Amen.
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 That will preach.
That will preach.
That was
for
great.
Sure.
Thanks, Darren.
Praise God.
That was a great encouragement time.
Yep.
All right. So next up, we've got a project highlight.
Yeah, new segment.
This is a segment that we want to do really just to bring you guys along in the journey.
Yeah.
One thing we've been really just hammering down on and making as efficient and as quality as possible is our behind the scenes photo, video, really mostly video. So we bought a camera specifically for behind the scenes video.
Yep.
We've got either Bray or Trev or Trey on every shoot now shooting video, hoping to put out really high quality behind the scenes vlogs, breakdowns, things like that. So really that you guys can come get an inside peek into our projects, our thought process, how we're creating things, how we're shooting things. And so as part of that, we want to talk about in each episode of the podcast a recent project that we've done, breaking down the mindset, the approach, maybe the ideation, maybe what vision we got from the client and where that led us. And so hopefully this is valuable to you. I know that, starting out, I would love to hear one of my favorite filmmakers break down a project in specific detail. So that's what we're going to do. If you're on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, I think is there links on Apple Podcasts?
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we're going to have like a BTS vlog of this video that we're discussing in the show notes. So be sure to check that out. If you're on YouTube, it'll be linked in the description.
Yep.
But let's get into our project highlight.
Yeah, that's great. The one thing I'll say before we dive in is, like you just said, we would, at one point in our business, we still would loved if some of our favorite filmmakers or people that are killing it would put out this type of content. It's like, man, we would love, like, what was the idea behind that? And I know some people are doing it really well, and it's gotten a lot bigger in the last 5 years, but seeing the behind the scenes of like, how did they do it? Why did they do it? Like, was there a budget? Was there not? Did they spend millions? Did they spend hundreds? All those questions to make it feel like a reality, like I could actually achieve this. Did they have a huge team of 50 people, or did they just roll with 4? It's like having all those details. How did they build the set? How did they, it's just, the list goes on and on and on. And it can feel very overwhelming when you see like the credits list of like the 50 crew members. You're like, well, we're never going to be able to do that. But actually, no, we can.
Totally.
And we have. And so this is kind of the reason for this segment, is to inspire you guys that it doesn't take a lot to make a massive impact, to do a really, really significant, great project.
Yeah.
Yep. So Box Fort Kingdom, this is the project that we're discussing, and we'll be really transparent, like Darren was saying. It doesn't help to be vague and ambiguous about how things work or budgets or things like that. So we intend on being very transparent with this because we feel like that's what's most helpful. And we're not worried. Obviously, we're not going to share projects that the clients ask us for confidentiality or things like that. But like, we're not worried about sharing this information. We want to give you guys value. And so Box Fort Kingdom, this was a music video that we just shot it last Thursday, delivered the edit today, or we're about to right after this episode. Which it's Friday and we're filming this. We'll drop it on Monday. So music video for a local band called Names Without Numbers. How did we get this project, Darren?
Well, keep in mind, we actually don't really do music videos. We did do like 8 with a fellow friend and producer and hip hop artist, two good friends of ours, and we just kind of had fun not last year, but the year before,
2022.
So all year we just kind of did these fun little music videos for their project they were putting together, and it was just like a really chill, super fun. We learned a lot. Super low budget, super low resource, but we crushed it. And so that was super fun. I think we all grew a ton during that time. But after that, we really didn't take on any. We've been hit up a few times. You know, you got like the 13-year-old rapper from like, you know, Instagram.
SoundCloud rappers.
Yeah, SoundCloud rappers. Like people, you know, be hitting us up like, yo, I got like $460. Like, let's go to New York and film like and at the top of the, you know, I don't know, whatever. But the funny part is so we just learned, even though we love music and we're all very much involved or really care about music, we just never really got into the music video world because it is you get the type of work that you do. It is what it is. And we just love corporate, commercial, higher, like I guess higher budget. I don't know. And
sometimes, I mean, oftentimes they're higher budget,
but just more, it's more sustainable and we just like it more. And we don't take on, you know, anything that doesn't align with our values. And so a lot of the times that these rappers are rapping about money and girls and all of this, you know, stuff that we just don't care for, we're not going to glorify it with the work that we do. Again, I just literally talked about glorifying God and all that we do. So again, it's better to just protect ourselves with that without having to, you know, say yes or no. We just don't really do them. But this one came about because our old worship director and friend and person I used to live with, he has a band and has had one for like 20 years or something. And it's in a genre that I like a lot. You know, it's like, you know, this cool, like alt pop rock kind of stuff. And he hit us up and he's like, hey, we have this new single coming out. Like, would you guys be interested? Like, we'd love to work together. And I was like, yeah, like, what's your budget? What's like the ideas? And sent the script and had like a kind of a pretty great outline from the singer Ryan, which he has a really cool mind. I like his lyrics. I like how he thinks. And so I was really open to reading his script idea. And once we did, I was super inspired right away. And we heard it. And we said yes to the project.
Yep. Again, this kind of goes back to like picking and choosing the projects that you want to take on that maybe aren't the full budget. Because if we were to bid this out with the amount of time that was spent and nickel and dime every hour that was spent on pre-production and finding props and all of the things that we did, it would have been probably a $10,000 plus video. But when they came to us, they say, hey, we have $1,500 and we have someone that is willing to do this within that range.
Right.
Obviously, we're pretty confident that no one else could have done as good of a job as us within that range. Because typically people who are doing low budget music videos, you know, it's kind of a solo show. They show up with a camera and a gimbal and you kind of get what you get. There's a lot of talented people out there, don't get me wrong, but we knew that they weren't probably going to get as good of a product. And most of all, we just thought it was a fun opportunity to challenge ourselves. We've recently got a new set of lenses that we just are interested in using and having fun with. And we think even though it's a music video, there were some elements in it that would add value to our portfolio. It was a very story-driven music video, which those are tough to do anyways because you have to tell a story. You have to build a story and a timeline, and you have to have a character and talent, and you have to direct that talent. It's a lot different than just like running a bunch of performance takes with the band, which is a lot easier. But the concept was really cool. The idea was really cool. There were a few ideas in there that were like, okay, you know, this VFX stuff, that's pretty much out of the question because we're going to have to either spend the whole budget on hiring somebody to do it, or we're going to have to spend a whole week figuring out how to do it ourselves, and it's not really in our wheelhouse. So I think that's that's an important key too, as you're talking to clients, regardless of what that is helping them understand maybe how their ideas, if they have a set budget, but their ideas go far beyond that budget, where can we meet where we're able to still deliver something that's really excellent, but protect our time where we're not getting shafted essentially on this project. And so we were able to put our heads together. We had a drive down to Missouri a couple weeks ago for a shoot. On the way back, we listened to the song a million times, went through like, here's what we can do. Here's kind of our storyline, and really got it built out. And so we really maximized where we didn't have to spend a day that we could be editing. It was like on a 2-hour drive that we weren't working anyways. So it's like finding those little ways to be more effective and make it worth your time. So we looked on Facebook Marketplace. So the concept, I guess we can go from the top. Like the concept is called Box Fort Kingdom. The idea was you build the box fort as a kid, right? To kind of escape reality. And you can build your own reality inside your box fort and do whatever you want. So our idea was to have, an adult character essentially find this box in an alleyway and crawl inside. And inside this box is like a whole tunnel made out of boxes. And right away we're like, okay, that's going to be kind of tough.
Because again, but that comes from like flexing that muscle over time of knowing like what are we willing to sacrifice on and what do we need to protect ourselves on. And so we're talking like in this instance, it's not always this way, but in this instance, like we know that we're in charge of set design mostly. I mean, we're in charge of telling the story. So that was just something going in that I want to highlight, because sometimes sometimes the budget will be there for the video and they hire someone else to build their set. They got everything, but this one specifically was unique, and like they had a great vision for it, great communication on it. But really it was like our choice, our undertaking was, okay, we have to create this world first and then film this world. So anyway,
you're good. And I did put that on them as much as possible. Like, here's what you can do to make this worth our time. A, you're in charge of finding talent. We're not going to spend time trying to figure out talent. So that's on you. B, I need you to round up as many boxes as humanly possible.
As many cardboard boxes.
Because if we have to spend a whole day driving around town collecting boxes, this project is no longer worth our time. So those two things really were on them. And then Darren had worked at like a warehouse before, and he's like, hey, they have these big boxes. They're called Gaylords, and they're 4 foot by 4 foot. Let's go see if we can find some of them. And we just happened to find a place on Facebook Marketplace that this dude works at a factory.
Shout out God.
And all of their extra Gaylords he sells for $3 a piece, and they're regularly like $50 each.
Uline sells them for like $50 for a new one. I was like, bro, we'll spend our whole budget on these Gaylords and then we're screwed.
But we got 15 Gaylords off Facebook Marketplace for $50. $50. So $50 in, out of the budget. The budget was $1,500, and that's what we kind of decided was worth it for us to do the project. So we got $50 down there. What else did we spend money on?
Then we had to buy a lot of duct tape.
We spent probably $50 on duct tape.
$50 on duct tape, and really that was really the majority of like what we bought. I had a bunch of gaffer's tape and like painter's tape and stuff that we had just accumulated over the years, and so we weren't using it. So we ended up using that up, which was cool to make the backdrop more interesting. And then you and I just went to town. Oh, we did find one lady that just moved into a new house that gave a bunch of moving boxes.
Which we didn't actually end up needing to do because Dave had so many.
He did have, because he went to the music store, Legits or whatever, and got like these guitar boxes and amp boxes that were like huge. And so once you cut them down to flatten them out, they were massive. I mean, they were just so big. So we had so many boxes, which was good. I'd way rather have too many than not enough. But Austin and I just kind of took it upon ourselves the couple days before the actual shoot to cut down boxes and create essentially a wall just to see kind of how many and realistic was this going to make. Because the idea was for the band to play inside of a box, but then also we needed to create a world for the adult male to walk through the box and through box hallways essentially. So we borrowed pipe and drape poles from our church. Shouts out Pastor Tyler Kirkle, the homie, hooked it up, called him. He's like, yeah, bro, no problem. And I picked him up and brought those, which was a super help. Yeah, because I don't know how we would have lifted and kept up heavy walls of cardboard and duct tape, but
we just made like a 3-walled frame, and you can see this. Go check out the
it's all in the video.
This will all make way more sense than us just explaining it. But we made a set for the performance shots that was basically a giant box made of boxes that they played in, which turned out really sick. Yeah. And then we made this like tunnel path for our character to kind of traverse through. And I think the one thing I want to touch on that was really cool that I think just no one else could have done it better than you, my friend, is our room at the end of the hallway.
There's nobody better.
Which is basically like this room.
It's an ode to this room.
Just shrunk down. Like, Bray, cut to the main angle. So that TV was in the room. Yeah. CRT up there. And like so much of this
the
stuff.
Lava lamp.
We just like were grabbing stuff, and Darren's like just getting stuff from the room and putting it up on the walls. And you got to check out the BTS video.
You have to. And the final video when it drops.
Yeah. That was the coolest thing. And I think just, it was just the creativity that was put into it, the intentionality of trying to internalize the client's vision. And we had a lunch meeting with them, and they explained their vision behind it. And so I think we did a really great job in that project of internalizing that vision, but then also bringing our ideas to the table.
Yeah. And I think this project specifically, like you said earlier, like being careful on which projects you're taking on. Like I knew right when I read these lyrics and I heard this song that like it was something that one would be fun, would align with our values, and it would challenge us, I think, in all separate ways. I knew we were going to be challenged.
Creative freedom.
So that was like, cool, we don't have a shoot this week, so we're going to do this music video.
We're going to take the hit on money and time again, because we kind of have a good idea of like when it's worth it to sacrifice that.
For sure.
And when it's not. And so that was part of that decision, is like this genuinely has value that it's going to add to both sides. We care about these people, first of all. So it's the relationship portion, but it's also like we can challenge ourselves, like you were saying, to really make a piece that's better in this genre and maybe anything that we've done, and really stretch us to get something out of it for us other than just a dollar amount, which I think is really rad. And I had one more thing I was going to say, but I forgot. So go ahead.
So I think a lot of people take these under budget or free projects, and like you said earlier, they use it as an excuse to kind of just skate by. I think we're the exact opposite.
Yeah, totally.
If you're doing something for less than what you should be doing it for, you better be taking that opportunity to grow and to learn and to challenge yourself. That's sometimes that's the only reason to do some of those projects. So if you're doing something for exposure and you don't care about it, you might as well just not show up and don't take any more of those. If it's not something that you want to challenge yourself and grow on, you are wasting your time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The spirit of excellence. It didn't matter to us that this wasn't quote unquote up to the dollar amount we would usually charge. What mattered was like, this is going to be the most excellent thing we've done.
And this isn't even like to, toot our own horn or, make ourselves sound better than y'all. But the thing that I love about it is like, when the band showed up that morning, like we had breakfast ready for them. Like we catered breakfast. We, used, the invisible budget that we didn't really have to treat our clients really well. Yeah. And then we went into the set full of delicious breakfast from that diner down the street. And we were sitting there, and then Ryan, the vocalist, was like, dude, the breakfast was amazing. You missed it, talking to the drummer. And I'm just like, we're making impact. Like, I don't care that there's no budget. We don't have a shoot this week. We're going to make the most out of it. And they're going to walk away with probably one of the best videos they're ever going to get, and an amazing experience that, what if they got signed and they have a $50,000 budget for the next single and they call us up, and we don't do things to get, but I just always look at every opportunity to serve people and love people well. Yeah. And that's just it's never been like a bad thing for us.
No, never.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's, again, not to highlight ourselves or our skill set or how awesome we are, but it's just like doing things for God's glory. And God has done so much for us. Who are we to not serve other people in the same manner, the best that we can? So, challenges that we faced. I mean, like, I remember it was so funny. Like, I knew this was happening. Like, obviously I could see it on the calendar and stuff, but I don't know, I'm doing other marketing stuff and doing all that Braze editing, different videos. And I just walked back there one day and literally, like, you guys have to see this video. It's a whole world was just built in our back warehouse area. And I'm like, when on earth did you two do this? Yeah. This is crazy. Like, they didn't stop in and ask for help. They didn't do any of that. They just, like, I walked back there and it was like, oh, wow, there's a box made out of boxes and a whole little world made out of boxes. And it was honestly insane. I was like, this is nuts.
It was pretty insane.
Yeah. Challenges. I mean, you just got to get creative with overcoming challenges. The main challenge is like, are we going to be able to get enough boxes and big enough boxes to have an adult human crawl through?
Right.
And not just an adult human to crawl through, but to create a long enough traveling distance through this world that it won't feel like he just is sitting in one box.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And we got to be able to film inside of it too.
Right.
Which and you got to be able to see what's going on.
As we were building out, a lot of these Gaylords had like massive holes cut in them. So they weren't like full boxes. So we had to like maneuver them and lean them up against things so they wouldn't fall over. I mean, it was a lot of like logistical little challenges, but you just figure it out as you go.
We were joking that we were like basically house contractors by the end of it, like cutting walls and cutting windows and doors with hinges. And
we started using power drills and then like a power saw to like cut holes and stuff. Dude.
Yeah, I mean,
it got wild.
It got wild.
I mean, I was using a pocket knife in the beginning, the first day, and by the end of it, we were chopping stuff, using screws to, and I was like, we were making it happen.
Yep. That's right.
But so
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun, and I would do it all over again. It was amazing, super fun. But yeah, the other thing is too, we made the whole BTS video. I would strongly recommend watching it, even if you're not a videographer or whatever. But just watch it because you see that exact thing as us figuring it out. And the really, really cool part and a great segue for this piece is every light that we used was Nan light, and we've been using Nan light for I don't know. 4+ years now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, almost the entirety of our company.
And they're just like one of those companies that you just need to know about. They're incredible. And we've been so gracious to even just partner with them. And we loved their products so much that we're like, we need to reach out to them. Not like, hey, give us free stuff, but like, how can we represent your brand in a great way? Because we love it. Like we've been buying your lights and your modifiers and all these things for a long time. Like, how can we continue that partnership? And we reached out. Trev reached out and was like, hey, we'd love to work with you guys in any way possible. How can we serve you guys? And they're like, we love your stuff. Let's do it. And so we've been in a partnership with them for a while. They completely lit this podcast room.
Shouts out.
Which is just, dude, that's sick. Like, what a blessing. Like,
they've been so generous.
They've been so generous and so awesome, and we love them. If you guys do want to check out Nan Light, or you don't know what that is, or you're looking for a light for your setup, check them out. We'll definitely leave links in the description of the things that we are using in this pod room, the stuff that we own. But they're incredible. I bet you could probably share more on how we used some of those lights and which ones on. We'll do a breakdown maybe.
Go check out the BTS. There's some stuff in there.
Sick stuff,
if you want to hear like a more in-depth breakdown on how we lit the tunnel or the box fort set, leave us a comment if you're on YouTube and we'll
give us
check
feedback.
That out. But
give us feedback. Answer any questions we didn't answer that you have, like watching the video or anything. Drop them in the comments or hit us up because we would love to answer those for you.
Yep, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah, she was a lot of fun, and got to check out the final result. Check out the BTS video. Yep. So
have to.
All right, Darren.
Let's wrap this
thing up. Should we wrap this bad boy up?
Let's wrap it.
It's been a fire episode.
It's been a fire episode.
It's been a lot of fun. It's good to be back.
It feels so good to be back. What's that from?
I don't know.
I
feel like it's from something.
Probably is.
Usually we can jump to the same page when that stuff happens, but that was, I do not know.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you. We love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
This helps us really know that people give a crap about listening to this thing. It gets us excited about what other value we can bring. Hit the bell for notifications so that you're notified every single time that we drop, every Monday and Wednesday.
Every
First and third Monday.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Twice a week, baby.
Oh, wow. So every first and third Monday, you don't want to miss it. We're excited. We're going to continue to bring value to you, but share it with some people, get it out because it really helps us. And then also we love it when you guys give us 5-star ratings if you think that we deserve. It helps push it to more people. It helps get people excited about it. And so we appreciate all the love that you guys give us in every single episode. And so thanks for being on the journey with us.
Yeah. If you want to follow along with the other content that we have outside of posting these episodes, we are on Instagram at the Glory Boys Pod. We're on TikTok, I think, at the Glory Boys Podcast. We also have a Facebook page that we will post content on as well. So if you'd like to check out our content, please go there. You can find us in all those places.
That's all I got. Yeah, the group is called Thinking Bigger with Creative Entrepreneurs. So if you want to search that on Facebook,
the Facebook group. Yes,
it's a new group where we'll be doing more like one-to-one interaction, answering questions if you want, posting some of our breakdowns, and obviously posting our podcast episode links and things when those drop. So be sure to go join the Facebook group, and we can't wait to see you guys in the next episode. Thanks so much for joining us.
See ya.
Peace.